Good day, everyone. We are the Group 5. I am Rohan Mas Reyes, along with my group mates, Ms. Orias, Ms. Nipaz, and Ms. Tagana. We welcome you to the discussion of the last topic for finals in Life and Works of Rizal. This is Module 11, Jose Rizal and the Philippine Nationalism, the Philippine Symbols. So here are our learning objectives. At the end of this module, learners like you are able to examine the values highlighted by the various representations of Rizal as national symbol and advocate the values Rizal's life encapsulates. So first is making of national symbol. When we say symbols, this can be representations of many things, right? So when people see a particular thing or a particular symbol, this will associated with something that is meaningful or standard. Like for example, a flower as a symbol. It is represented as a woman and beauty. So this happens when we think of something or someone that has the same qualities like that symbol or the thing that we are being associated with. So what about the national symbol? What does it mean? So according to the National Commission for Culture in the Arts or the NCCA, national symbols represent the traditions, ideals, and values of a country. They also reflect the principles of sovereignty, our country's independence, and national solidarity or the unity as a people. Imagine how impactful these small symbols are for a country. These symbols are not just ordinary objects as it may be, but they have deep meanings, deeper roles that connects us to our history, culture, and identity as Filipinos. So thus it is really important. On February 17, 2014, Bohol First District Representative Rene Relampagos filed a bill that seeks to declare and to recognize a number of national symbols. The proposed bill, House Bill 3926 or the Philippine National Symbols Act of 2014. The purpose of this bill was to formally recognize and declare certain national symbols of the Philippines. While many symbols, like the Philippine flag, Sampaguita flower, and Philippine eagle, are widely regarded as the national symbols, most of them lack official recognition through the law. The purpose or the proposed bill aimed to address this by providing a legal basis for these symbols that ensures their status as official representations of the country's culture, identity, and values. This move sought to promote national pride and unity by giving formal recognition to the symbols that embody the ideals and heritage of the Filipino people and our country, Philippines. So remember also that a Philippine national symbol becomes official only when it is declared through a law or a proclamation. So while many symbols such as the Philippine flag, Sampaguita flower, and the Philippine eagle are commonly recognized as national symbols, they are not automatically official. For a symbol to gain formal recognition, it must be legally declared by the Philippine Congress through a law or by the President through a proclamation. This legal process ensures that the symbol is officially acknowledged as representation of the country's identity, heritage, and values that solidifies the role in promoting national pride and unity. Furthermore, according to Nestor Castro, a Filipino cultural anthropologist, most of the unofficial national symbols of the Philippines were passed down through generation or through traditions rather than formal declaration. So this explains why many symbols like sampaguita, mango, bangus are widely accepted as national symbols, even though they have not been officially declared by a law or proclamation. People recognize and embrace these symbols because they have been part of the Filipino culture for generations. They have been part of the life of the Filipinos. However, without legal recognition, these symbols remain still unofficial. Next is the Filipinos as national symbol. According to Teodoro Atienza of the National Historical Commission of the Philippines and historian Ambet Ocampo, states that no Filipino historical figure, including Jose Rizal, has been officially declared as national hero through a law or executive order. So while figures like Rizal and Bonifacio are widely regarded as hero, their status is based on public recognition and historical significance, not on formal legislations. So this supports the idea that heroes are made in the hearts of the people, not just through politics or the laws in a country. On November 15, 1995, the Technical Committee of the National Heroes Committee created through Executive Order Number 5 by former President Fidel Ramos, recommended 9 Filipino historical figures to be national heroes. So here are the 9 historical figures. First is Jose Rizal. Second, Andres Bonifacio. Third, Emilio Aguinaldo. Fourth, Apolinario Mabini. Fifth, Marcelo H. Del Pilar. Sixth, Sultan Kudarat. Seventh, Juan Luna. Eighth, Melchora Aquino. And 9 is Gabriela Silang. So these are the historical figures that are considered as national heroes, but no action has been taken for these recommended national heroes, and still they are unofficial. Congressman Salvador Escudero emphasized that heroes are made in the hearts and minds of people, not through politics or legislation. This means that a person becomes a hero because of the people's admiration and recognition of their contributions, not because of a formal law or government declaration. So, this perspective highlights the idea that the true heroism is defined by the impact and legacy a person leaves on society, rather than by official titles or legal recognition that is given to them. So that sums up the background of having national symbols in the Philippines. Now let's keep the ball rolling as Ms. Orias will further discuss to us.
Good day, everyone. I am Jade Orias and I will be discussing the Rizal as a national symbol. Sa kabila ng mga hadlang sa politika, nagkaroon si Rizal ng layunin na maibalik yung dangal ng mga Pilipino at ipakilala muli sa kanila yung kanilang mga karapatan. Nakakuha rin siya ng mas malawak na pananaw sa mga problema ng ating bansa. Nagsimula niyang maunawaan na ang matagal na pagkakasakop ng ating bansa sa mga Kastila ay dulot ng dalawang major factors. Isa doon is yung kawalan ng national consciousness ng mga Pilipino at kakulangan sa edukasyon. Nagkaroon si Rizal ng blueprint or plano para sa muling pag-build ng ating bansa at kabilang dito ay yung kahalagahan ng edukasyon pag-instill ng lahi at dangal ng mga tao, at pagtaguyod ng national consciousness, and muling pag-orient ng mga kahalagahan at saloobin at ng kahandaan ng mga pag-sacrifice para sa bansa. Tinignan din ni Rizal ang edukasyon bilang isang kinakailangan or essential para sa pagkamit ng kalayaan ng ating bansa. Sa pamamagitan kasi ng edukasyon, natututo ang mga tao tungkol sa kanilang sarili bilang mga individual at bilang miyembro ng isang bansa. Ang mahabang panahon na pag-dominate ng mga Espanyol dito sa ating bansa at yung patuloy na pang-aapi at yung diskriminasyon na nararanasan ng mga Pilipino dahil sa mga Espanyol ay nagkaroon ng dulot ng pakiramdam na parang mubaba ba ang dangal ng mga Pilipino. And nais niyang ialay ang kanyang mga kababayan, ang kanilang mga isip, salita at kilos hindi lamang para sa kanilang sarili bilang mga individual, kundi para sa kanilang mga sarili bilang isang mamamayan ng isang bansa. Una sa program of actions ni Rizal ay yung mag-organisa ng isang grupo ng mga estudyanteng Pilipino na nasa Madrid na gagamitin ang kanilang mga talento para magtrabaho para sa mga solusyon sa mga problema ng Pilipinas or Sirkulo Hispano-Pilipino. Pangalawa ay magmungkahi ng pagsusulat ng isang libro na katulad ng Uncle Tom's Cabin ni Harriet Beecher Stowe at The Wandering Jew ni Eugene Sue na tatalakay sa iba't ibang aspeto ng buhay ng Pilipino. And ang libro na yon ay magiging proyekto ng Sirkulo Hispano-Filipino na bawat miyembro ay mag-aambag ng isang kabanata. Pangatlo naman ay pinagsama-sama ni Rizal yung mga nakaraang kasaysayan ng Pilipinas na nagpapakita na kahit bago pa dumating yung mga Kastila, ang mga Pilipino ay meron ng sariling kultura at pinili niyang i-annotate yung Morga's Success de las Islas Pilipinas. Pang-apat naman ay sinulat niya ang The Indolence of the Filipinos na lumabas bilang series ng mga artikulo sa La Solidaridad mula July 15 hanggang September 15, 1898. Panglima naman ay isinulat niya ang El Filibusterismo upang ipakita sa mga Pilipino na ang presyo na dapat nilang bayaran at yung mga problemang dapat nilang lutasin bago sumabak ang bansa sa revolusyon. So, pang-anim naman ay naisip niyang ipakita sa mga tao kung paano mag-organize ang kanilang sarili sa isang compact, homogeneous na katawan sa Pilipinas. And ang pangunahing plano ni Rizal sa organisasyon ay ang pagtatag ng La Liga Filipina or the Philippine League. Ang pangpito at panghuli ay nung siya ay ipinatapon sa dapitan, natapos niya na yung pinakamalaking bahagi ng kanyang personal mission na iligtas ang mga Pilipino mula sa medieval colonialismo. Ang kanyang pagkakatapon ay nagpapakita ng walang pagod na pagsisikap ng bayani na ipagpatuloy ang mga program of actions na walang tigil niyang isinulong para sa katuparan ng kanyang plano na pag-build ng ating bansa.
Thank you, Miss Jade. So now, let us move on to the values highlighted by Rizal's life. So by the way, I am Ira B. Taganap and I will going to discuss the values, traits, and characteristics that was embodied by Jose Rizal. So first is nationalism. So when we say nationalism, it desires to attain freedom and political independence. So sa madaling sabi, pag sinabi natin nationalism, pagmamahal sa bayan. So, ipinakita ni Rizal ang pagmamahal sa kanyang bayan through his writings. His two famous novels, the Noli Me Tangere and the El Filibusterismo. So, through his writings, it awakens the desire of the Filipino people to fight for their rights and for their independence from the Spanish colonizers. Okay, so next is patriotism. So when we say patriotism, it denotes proud devotion and loyalty to one's nation. So, patriotism, handa mong ibuwis ang iyong buhay para sa iyong bayan. So Rizal's patriotism was evident in his tireless efforts to improve the lives of his countrymen. So, handang ialay, handang ibuwis ni Rizal ang kanyang buhay para sa kanyang bayan, para sa kanyang mga kababayan. So, he dedicated his life to advocating for education, social reforms, and ultimately, the freedom of the Philippines. So, he even risked his life by returning to the Philippines despite knowing the dangers driven by his love for his homeland. So, 'di ba, yung dalawang novels niya, dinedicate niya ito sa kanyang fatherland, sa kanyang bayan, at sa kanyang mga kababayang Pilipino. Next is faith in God. So when Rizal is studying, Rizal through his letters assured his mother of his faith in God. So na-discuss naman na throughout our previous discussions that Rizal came from a religious family. So wherein 'di ba nasabi natin na um, every 6 p.m. in the afternoon ay nagsasama-sama silang buong pamilya at sila ay nagdadasal. So, Rizal's faith in God was a guiding force in his life. So, he believed in a just and merciful God who would ultimately bring about justice and freedom for the Philippines. So, his belief in God also shaped his moral compass and his commitment to serving others. Next one is love of fellow men. So Rizal thought on love for our fellow men is biblical and timeless. So pagmamahal sa kanyang kapwa Pilipino. So Rizal's love for fellow Filipinos was evident in his writings, so which focused on the plight of the oppressed and the need for social justice. So he believed in the inherent dignity of all human beings and fought against discrimination and inequality. And remember that Jose Rizal, um, mas gusto niya gusto niyang ipaglaban ang kanyang fellow Filipinos through peaceful reforms. And 'di ba, ginamit niya ang kanyang pen para ipaglaban ang karapatan, ang freedom, ang kalayaan ng bansang Pilipinas at ang kanyang kapwa Pilipino. So next is love of parents. Pagmamahal sa magulang sa pamilya. So Rizal's love for his parents is great and very admirable. So Rizal's deep love for his parents was evident in his letters to them. So si Rizal laging nagsusulat para sa kanyang pamilya, para express kung gaano niya nami-miss and pangangamusta na rin kung okay lang ba sila or not. So, he saw his parents as pillars of strength and inspiration. So, doon humuhugot ng lakas, ng inspirasyon si Rizal sa lahat ng kanyang ginagawa. And their love and support were a source of comfort and motivation throughout his life. So, di ba? Rizal is the one who treat the falling eyesight of his mother. So, isa rin yon sa nagpapakita kung gaano niya kamahal, kung gaano siya ka-concern sa kanyang family. Next is devotion to truth. Rizal's persevering search for truth in serving his country was a motivating virtue. Okay, so si Rizal kasi, isa siyang earnest seeker of truth. So gusto niya palaging malaman yung katotohanan sa likod ng mga bagay-bagay. At yun na rin yung nagiging dahilan ng pagkakaroon ng banta sa kanyang buhay. Na hindi din, parang hindi payag or hindi gusto ng kanyang mother, ng kanyang mama, na ipagpatuloy niya yung ganun kasi maaaring, ayun nga, ma-risk yung kanyang buhay at mayroong mangyaring masama sa kanya. So Rizal's devotion to truth was reflected in his writings, so which exposed the corruption and injustices of Spanish colonialism. So he believed in the power of truth to expose wrongdoing and inspire the change. So he was willing to face persecution and even death for speaking the truth. So kahit ma-risk or kahit mapahamak siya, gusto niya lang maibahagi, gusto niyang maipakita yung katotohanan sa likod ng colonization ng mga Espanyol. Okay, so next one, ito naman yung mga values related to character and conduct. So, purity and idealism. So Rizal was guided by his ideals and he was extraordinary in the purity of his thoughts. So si Rizal kasi mayroon siyang prinsipyo. So Rizal was guided by his ideals of justice. Gusto niyang makuha yung hustisya, yung freedom and equality against the Spanish colonial rule. Spanish colonization. So he believed in a better future for the Philippines and dedicated his life to achieving it. So his writings were filled with idealism and a vision of a more just and equitable society. So through his writings, through his peaceful reforms, yun yung naging way ni Rizal para ma-achieve yung better future for his country and for his fellow countrymen. So next is noble thought and conduct. So Rizal's works and writings promoted good conduct, clean conscience, and upright thinking. So Rizal's action and writings were always guided by a strong moral compass. So he believed in the importance of honesty, pagiging tapat, integrity, and respect for others. So he lived a life of principle, even when it meant facing danger and persecution. So, alam niyo yun, si Rizal, earnest seeker of truth, syempre, lahat ng mga sasabihin niya, lahat ng kanyang mga ibubulgar, isusulat ay pawang sa katotohanan lamang. Walang pinoprotektahan. Ganon si Rizal, na kahit maging bantayon sa kanyang buhay, hindi niya inisip yun. Dahil mayroon siyang prinsipyo, yun yung ideals niya na gusto niyang iparating sa mga tao. Next is charity. So all his sacrifices for his country were charitable acts for his fellow men. So Rizal was known for his generosity and compassion. So he dedicated much of his time and resources to helping the poor and the marginalized. So he believed in the importance of social justice and worked tirelessly to improve the lives of his fellow Filipinos. So, itong situation na to, or yung instance na to, dinipik ito sa movie sa Dapitan. Movie sa Rizal sa Dapitan, wherein lahat ng kanyang ginagawa ay para sa ikabubuti ng kanyang para sa ikabubuti ng kanyang kapwa Pilipino. So he dedicated his life, his time to help them to have a better future and also to achieve the freedom they want. Kasi gusto ni Rizal magkaroon ng hustisya and para ma-improve, para ma-develop yung buhay ng mga Filipinos during his time. Most especially during the Spanish colonial time. Next is dedication to duty. So dedication was one of Rizal's virtues. So he dedicated his whole life in securing freedom for his country. So itong mga values na to parang alam niyo yun, parang parehas lang sila ng iniibig sabihin. Si Rizal kasi, committed siya na gusto niya talagang ipaglaban ang karapatan ng mga Pilipino na hindi dapat trinatrato ng ganon. Na bago pa dumating ang mga Espanyol, gusto kasing patunayan ni Rizal na bago pa dumating yung mga Espanyol dito sa bansang Pilipinas, mga Pilipino ay may sarili na silang kultura, mayaman ng bansa ang Pilipinas, taliwas sa ipinapamukha ng mga Espanyol na sila ang nagpaganda, nag-umayos sa sistema ng bansang Pilipinas. Next one is dedication to duty. So dedication was one of Rizal's virtues. So he dedicated his whole life in securing freedom for his country. So nung nakita niya kasi yung situation ng Philippines, naawa siya sa kalagayan ng mga Pilipino. Nasabi niya sa kanyang sarili na ayokong, alam yun, sa buong buhay niya ganon na lang yung maranasan ng kanyang kapwa Pilipino. Nakikita niya yung kanilang pagdurusa, yung paghihirap sa kamay ng mga Espanyol. So throughout his life, he dedicated his time, his effort para ipaglaban yung karapatan, yung freedom na dapat tinatamasa ng mga Pilipino sa kamay ng mga Espanyol. So next one is moral courage. So the moral courage that Rizal had signified is worth imitating by our present leaders. So Rizal's moral courage was evident in his willingness to speak out against injustices and oppression despite sa threats, sa pagbabanta, sa risk ng kanyang buhay. Gusto niyang sabihin yung totoo, yung katotohanan lang against injustices and oppression brought by the Spanish colonizers. So even when it meant facing the wrath of Spanish authorities, so he was not afraid to stand up for what he believed in, even when it meant risking his life. So 'di ba, ganun naman talaga yung essence ng pagiging leader, na ikaw yung mangunguna na ipaglaban kung ano yung totoo, na sabihin yung totoo. Lalo na kung may pinanghahawakan ka talaga. So, yan yung pagiging leader, and yan yung in-embody ni Jose Rizal. So next is willpower. So this strong determination of Rizal allowed him to express his ideas and will through calmness and peace. So 'di ba, kilala naman natin si Rizal na he fight for the rights and for the freedom of the Philippines through his peaceful reforms, through his writings, the No Limitangere and the El Filibusterismo. So unlike sila Andres Bonifacio na pakikipaglaban yung way para ipaglaban yung freedom or yung kalayaan ng Pilipinas. So Rizal's willpower was evident in his perseverance in the face of adversity. So he faced numerous challenges and setbacks, but he never gave up on his dreams of a free and independent Philippines. So his determination and resilience inspired generations of Filipinos to fight for their rights. So until now, 'di ba? So kaya nga natin pinag-aaralan ang Rizal's lives and works kasi marami tayong mapupulot na aral and magbibigay sa atin ng inspirasyon na oo nga, kailangan nating ipaglaban kung ano yung sa atin, kailangan nating ipaglaban ang ating karapatan. Hindi dapat tayo tinatapak-tapakan dahil lahat tayo ay pantay-pantay. So next one is integrity. So this refers to the quality of being honest and having strong moral principles. So, yan, being honest, si Rizal, gusto niya lang mahanap kung ano yung katotohanan. So he was honest and truthful and always acted in accordance with his conscience, in accordance to morality. So, tinitimbang kasi ni Rizal kung ano yung tama at mali, kung ano yung hindi dapat gawin, at sa kung ano yung gagawin. So, he refused to compromise his beliefs even when it meant facing danger and persecution. Next is sincerity. So Rizal's sincerity is manifested in his acceptance that whatever he possessed, he owed them to God, who had planned a duty he had to carry out. So Rizal's sincerity was evident in his writings and his actions. Sincere lang, genuine lang yung desire niya para matulungan yung kanyang fellow Filipinos and also to achieve a better future for his country. So, he was not driven by personal gain. Hindi niya ginagawa ang lahat ng yon para sa sarili niya lang or sa kanyang ambition, but by a genuine desire to serve others. Bukal sa loob niya na tumulong sa kanyang kapwa, sa kanyang bayan. So next is self-denial. So the self-denial of Rizal involved self-sacrifice and altruism. So Rizal was willing to sacrifice his own comfort and well-being for the sake of his country and his people. So Rizal, isa siyang patriot, handa niyang ibuwis, ialay ang kanyang buhay para sa fellow Filipinos at para sa kanyang inang bayan, which is the Philippines. So, he was dedicated in serving his country and his fellow Filipinos. So next is perseverance. So this value let him show his strength in meeting and enduring pain, adversity, and peril. So Rizal faced numerous challenges and setbacks in his fight for Philippine independence. He was imprisoned, exiled, and even faced death threats coming from the Spanish colonizers. But he never gave up. His dedication, his perseverance, and his ideals, yun yung naging inspiration niya na patuloy na lumaban, na ipaglaban ang karapatan ang kanyang bansa laban sa mga Espanyol. So next is discipline and self-control. So Rizal used reason to determine his actions regardless of his desires. So in fact, deprive himself of many unsound pleasures. So Rizal was known for his disciplined life and his ability to control his emotions and desires. So si Rizal kasi, alam niyo yun, calm lang, very calm lang si Rizal. So, he was a man of principle kasi mayroon siyang prinsipyo Meron siyang ideals na nagiging way para i-control ang kanyang emotions and desires. So, he was a man of principles and he always acted in accordance with his conscience, in accordance with his ideals. So next is initiative, pagkukusa. So the ability to assess and initiate things independently. So Rizal was a man of action. So he was not afraid to take risk and lead to others in the fight of his freedom. Na kahit ayaw na ng kanyang mama dahil sa pagiging curious niya sa lahat ng bagay, wala kasi parang dedicated na siya to take the initiative and to make a difference in the world. Most especially to achieve, ayan lagi nating sinasabi, to achieve the freedom of the Filipinos from the Spanish colonizers. Kasi si Rizal, isa siya sa mga notable person na mayroong nagawang malaking ambag during the Spanish colonizers, during the achievement of the freedom of the Philippines. So next is prudence. So this is care, caution, and good judgment as well as wisdom in looking ahead. So Rizal was a careful and thoughtful leader. Alam naman natin yan. So he weighed his options carefully and made decisions based on reason and logic. So, di ba yung ginagawa niya based on his ideals, based on his conscience, based on morality. So, tinitimbang niya yung mga bagay na tama ba ito, mali ba ito, is it right or wrong? before planning. So, he was also a visionary. So, bago niya gawin yung isang bagay na yon, iisipin niya muna kung ano yung magiging possible consequences ng gagawin niyang bagay na yon. So, next is chivalry, courtesy, and politeness. So, Rizal was an ideal gentleman, one of the qualities of a being at chivalry. In addition, he was always ready to help the weak and the women. So, di ba, kaya nga si Rizal maraming na-fall in love sa kanyang mga kababaihan. Alam naman natin yan na marami siyang naging naging babae sa kanyang buhay. So Rizal was known for his gentlemanly behavior and his respect for others. Marespeto kasi si Rizal dahil na rin sa pagpapalaki ng kanyang mga magulang na lumaki siya sa religious family, sa caring family. So next is frugality. He also showed the quality of being economical with money and other resources in simple way thriftiness, pagiging tipid. So Rizal was a man of simple means, but he was also a generous and compassionate person. So Rizal come from a yung may kayang pamilya. Pero despite by that, naging humble lang sila eh. He used his resources wisely, hindi naging malaki yung ulo niya. And he always tried to help those who were less fortunate. So, matulungin kasi si Rizal and even his family. So, that shows frugality. And the last one is love for justice. So, Rizal found his joy in being just and in fighting for justice. So Rizal was a champion of justice and equality. So he believed that all people were created equal and that everyone deserved to be treated fairly. So yun yung kanyang inspiration na lahat ng tao, lahat tayo ay pantay-pantay. Wala dapat nakakalamang, walang nakakaangat, walang nasa laylayan. So he dedicated his life to fighting for the rights of the oppressed and to creating a more just and equitable society. Freedom, independence against sa mga mananakop, especially Spanish colonizers. So these values highlight Rizal's commitment to his country, his strong moral compass, and his dedication to serving others. So he is remembered as a symbol of Filipino nationalism and continue to inspire Filipinos today to fight for justice, freedom, and a better future for the nation. Kaya nga si Rizal, isa siya. Si Rizal ay ang ating national hero. So, dahil sa kanyang mga values, traits, and characteristics na ito. So the values embodied by Rizal remain deeply relevant to Filipinos today, serving as guiding principles for navigating the challenges and opportunities of modern society. So sabi ko nga kanina, kaya nga natin pinag-aaralan ang buhay, ang kanyang writings, dahil relevant siya until today na nagbibigay sa atin ng motivation, ng inspiration para ipaglaban, para mahalin ng ating bayan, para ipaglaban ng ating mga karapatan. So, that ends my discussion. So, now let us move on to the Philippines national symbols to be discussed by Miss Maureen.
Thank you so much, Miss Ira Taganap. And now, I am Maureen Anipas, and I will present the Philippine national symbols. And with these symbols, it represents our country's traditions and ideals and convey the principles of sovereignty and national solidarity of Filipino people. First is the Philippine flag. So the design of the Philippine flag is governed by the Republic Act number 8491. And here the Philippine national flag, as defined by the National Historical Commission of the Philippines, is made of silk, had a white equilateral triangle at the left, which symbolizes liberty, equality, and fraternity. It also contained a sunburst of 8 rays at the center, which represented the 8 provinces that triggered the Philippine Revolution and which is put under the martial law during the Spanish occupation. So these provinces are mainly Manila, Bulacan, Pampanga, Cavite, Batangas, Laguna, Tarlac, and Nueva Ecija. Also, there is a five-pointed star at each angle of the triangle, which presented the three major island groups, which is the Luzon, Visayas, which is originally referring to Panay Island, and Mindanao. There is also the upper stripe of blue, which is represented peace, truth, and justice, and the red, which means patriotism and valor. And fun fact, when the flag is flipped upside down and the red is on the top, meaning the country is in a state of war. So if you watch or see the drama called Pulang Araw, it shows the Philippine flag wherein the red is on the top, meaning that the Philippines at that time is at state of war against the Japanese. Of course, if there is the national flag, there is also the national anthem. The Philippine national anthem is entitled Lupang Hinirang and composed by Juan Felipe. Lupang Hinirang was first played publicly on June 12, 1898 during the proclamation of Philippine independence. Its lyrics were adopted from the Spanish poem Filipinas, which was written by Jose Palma. So don't you know that the Philippine National Anthem is a product of revolution, a response to the need of the revolutionary times that gave birth to it. So recognizing the need for national symbols, General Emilio Aguinaldo commissioned composer Juan Felipe to create a march, which after 6 days, Felipe presented his composition on June 11, which was initially called Marcha Filipino Magdalo in honor of Aguinaldo's alias. It was later renamed Marcha Nacional Filipina and adopted as the national anthem. Next is the national costume. Barong Tagalog is a formal shirt as usually made of sheer lightweight but stiff fabric known as nipis, usually woven from piña or abaca fibers. When using sheer fabrics, it is worn over an undershirt known as the camisón or camiseta, which can have short or long sleeves. The barot saya or barot at saya literally means blouse and skirt, is a traditional dress and symbol worn by women in the Philippines. It is a national dress of the Philippines and combines elements from both the pre-colonial native Filipino and the colonial Spanish clothing style. So the baro and saya represented the creativity and the craftsmanship of Filipino artisans, as well as the country's tropical climate and agricultural roots. This attire also embodies the dignity and the graceful Filipino woman throughout the history. Now, of course, if there's national costume, there is a national footwear, which is the bakya or the wooden clogs. It is a footwear that is made from local light wood like santol and laniti. It is cut to the desired foot size before being shaven until smooth. The side of the bakya is thick enough to be carved with floral, geometric, or landscape design. Here in the bakya, it symbolizes simplicity, practicality, and Filipino artistic heritage. It was valued for its durability and affordability. So, of course, it is traditionally worn by rural folk and is used in cultural performances and festivals to celebrate Filipino traditions. There is also a bill in Congress highlights the Bakya connection to the country's humble beginning, which I have researched. Next is the national vehicle. So, Philippine Kalesa is a horse-driven carriage that look like an inclined cart and was introduced during the 18th century. The kalesa has two round wheels on each side and two rows of seats. The driver sits on a block of wood located at the front of the cart near the near the horse. So, it is primary mode of public and private transport in the Philippines during the Spanish and American colonial period before the emergence of these engine vehicles. Next is the national gem. So the Philippine national gem is called Philippine Pearl, as declared by former President Fidel V. Ramos through Proclamation Number 905, Series of 1996. It is scientifically known as Pintada maxima. In fact, world's largest pearl was discovered by a Filipino diver in a giant tridacna or mollusk under the Palawan Sea in 1934. And of course, this Philippine sea pearl, the oyster and the pearl are depicted on the reverse side of the Philippine Generation currency series of 1,000 peso bill. Next is the national sport. So arnis is the Philippines is the Philippines like Japan's karate and Korea's taekwondo. It's both a martial art and sport whose origins are still largely unconfirmed because of lack of documentation. It became a national symbol in 2009 when then President Gloria Macapagal Arroyo signed Republic Act 9850 into the law. So this sport, as per in Senate Bill number 1424, arnis is originally practiced for self-defense by the Filipinos during the pre-Spanish period, was later used to resist Spanish invaders. It became a symbol of Filipino bravery in battles against superior enemies, with historical figures like Lapu-Lapu potentially being expert in the martial art. Now, next is the National House. Of course, the National House, the humble bahay kubo or nipa hut. It is still seen in some parts of the country, particularly in the provinces. While it has long been a symbol of Filipino homes, it has not been recognized as the national symbol. Yet, it's still a symbol of Filipino culture. This traditional house has indigenous design, a symbol of the country's rural heritage. It stands as a statement to the Filipinos' resourcefulness, resilience, and environmental consciousness. Next is the national bird. The Philippine national bird is called the Philippine eagle, scientifically known as Pitucopaga jeffrey. It was made official in 1978 by former President Ferdinand Marcos through Proclamation number 1732. So of course, the Philippine eagle symbolizes strength, freedom, resilience, and the country's rich biodiversity, highlighting the importance of the conservation efforts. However, the Philippine eagle is critically endangered. So there are efforts to conserve the species include the breeding program at the Philippine Eagle Center in Davao City. The Republic Act number 9147, enacted in the 2001, protects wildlife by imposing several penalties for illegal hunting, trade, and habitat destruction, highlighting the importance of preserving biodiversity and cultural heritage, as again, what I said earlier. And if there is a national bird, there is also the national animal, which is the carabao. If common men have dogs as their best friend, then the carabao or the Philippine water buffalo is the Filipino's farmer best friend, the beast of burden, able to do almost everything that needs to be done on the rice fields, including carrying the farmer and his goods. So the carabao symbolizes strength, power, efficiency, perseverance, and most of all, hard work. That until now, many Filipinos use the carabao. And one example of this is my father, which is a farmer. Next is the national flower, the sampaguita, which is generally known as the Arabian jasmine. Its white color symbolizes purity, simplicity, humility, and strength. So, sampaguita are often seen to be an ornament on jeepney, or some Filipino vendors sell it, especially in the churches. Next is the national tree. The Philippine national tree is called Dinara, generally known as rosewood. It was made officially by Governor General Frank Murphy through Proclamation number 652, series of 1934. The Nara tree represents Filipino people's determination for the independence and freedom, symbolizing toughness, durability, and resilience. Its strength and endurance reflect the Filipino spirit, as seen in the bravery of past generations and the ability to overcome challenges. And again, if there are national tree, there is also the national leaf, which is often referred as the anahaw, or round leaf fountain palm, is part of the country's national symbols. Normally seen in the countryside as a roofing material, anahaw leaves are seen as decorative pieces plants in metro. So usually anahaw sometimes can be seen in the nipa hut or the bahay kubo. So the anahaw leaf symbolizes resilience, strength, and national pride, reflecting the adaptability of the Pili people and the harmony between nature and the Filipino spirit. Next is the national fruit, which is the mango or manga. It is a common sight in Philippine wet and dry markets. The mango has long been seen as the national fruit. As popular as it for making desserts, there is no law that proclaims it is a national symbol, meaning it is an official Philippine symbol. However, mango or Philippine mango is known or popular in other countries, and some of the products, which is manga, is being exported what I mean to the other countries. Sometimes it is dried fruit. It makes as dried fruit. Next is the national fish, which is the bangus or milkfish. Bony yet prized for its belly fat, which almost everyone fights for on the dinner table. The bangus or milkfish has long been seen as the country's national fish, yet without a law, its status will never be official. Also, the national fisheries bangus is an unofficial symbol. So the national fish symbolizes abundance, sustenance, and the country's strong connection to the sea and the fishing industry, reflecting its rich culinary heritage. It is a popular and iconic ingredient in the Filipino cuisine, which is one of my favorite, called sinigang na bangus. And lastly is the national dish, the lechon. So lechon is a pork dish in several regions of the world, most specifically in Spain and former Spanish colonial possessions throughout the world, and which includes the Philippines. Lechon is a Spanish word referring to a roasted baby pig, which was still fed by suckling its mother's milk. So lechon is mostly served, of course, in fiestas and some occasion, and especially on Christmas. Lechon is a very famous food here in the Philippines. And that's all. Again, I want to remind everyone that some of here on the PPT are unofficial national symbols of the Philippines. And that's all. Thank you so much, and thank you for listening to our report.